What's up, guys? It's Patricia from tarantulaheaven.com. If you're new to the channel, welcome. Hello, this is Miss Spidey right here, my G Rosea, the star of the show. And if you are a subscriber, thanks so much for coming back. I'm pleased to have you here with me on Tarantula Tuesday. Today I'm talking about tarantula videos that I think should be banned, and this is kind of like a spin-off of a video I'd done before about terrible tarantula prank videos on YouTube that I think should definitely be banned, but there's definitely some other concerning content on the internet about tarantulas, so I want to talk about the other ones as well. So I had stumbled across several tarantula prank videos that were really abusive to tarantulas, and it kind of lit a fire under my butt, made me really upset. And thinking about it, there are actually a lot of other problematic tarantula videos that perhaps are not prank videos, but they're still really terrible. And I don't think these videos have any business being on the internet, especially a major search engine like YouTube, where children or perhaps other impressionable minds can easily find it. And it's really unfortunate that there's not much consideration or activism for tarantulas, especially tarantula abuse things. We all know that if this was happening to a cat or a dog, petitions would be circulating, these videos would be taken down, the people would be investigated. So there's definitely a stigma against these kind of creatures or any non-mainstream animal. And, you know, while definitely the greatest atrocities against tarantulas are those prank videos, just some really dangerous situations and terrible situations, let's talk about some other evils of the internet. So my number one on the list, and these are not necessarily in any order, but my first one on the list is tarantula versus mice videos. I have personally spoken out against my dislike for feeding tarantulas mice before, but this is not concerning that. This is not about feeding. What I'm talking about is when tarantula owners or anybody with a tarantula, regardless of what the circumstance is, they will intentionally put the tarantula in a box or a cage or something where they can't get out of with a mouse or a rat or something that might be bigger than them or at least the same size. The issue with these videos is that the focus isn't on feeding. If it was, you could just feed them a Pinky Mouse if you really wanted to do that. This is about having live animals fight to the death, which is something that I have a very big problem with. I think that this is a very sick desire to want two animals to be in this position because of you, and it's terrible. It's harmful for the tarantula, it's terrible for the mouse, it's terrible for everything. And this isn't just with mice. I've seen this happen. I think a few years ago there was this controversy with tarantulas being put in tanks with bees, which was terrible. I've seen this with tarantulas being put with other spiders or other living creatures. This is really bad. I don't think any creatures should be trapped in an enclosure together and just to see who comes out on top, to see who survives. Especially, I mean, we could argue that this happens in nature all the time, but especially for human entertainment, there's a difference between what happens in the wild and what happens because humans sometimes can have this really sick, voyeuristic nature about us that just makes us have no regard for other creatures. These videos are really cruel and dangerous. Yes, tarantulas, a lot of them are perfectly capable of taking down a mouse. That is what they do in nature, likely. However, there's a high likelihood that they could be hurt in the process. In a lot of these videos, they're not feeding them little baby mice. They're putting them in the tank with a mouse that's just as big. Any creature that's fighting for their lives is not just gonna let a tarantula eat them. If you're fighting for your life, you're gonna bite, you're gonna claw. Mice are, comparably strong to tarantulas. There is a chance that your tarantula could really be hurt if you are going to do this. So I think it's really terrible to put any living creature in this position. And to me, this is just my opinion. This is all my opinion. To purposely put living things in this position is really disgusting and sad. I am not a vegetarian. I'm not vegan. This isn't really I'm not really looking at it from an animal right. I mean, I guess I am looking at it from an animal rights perspective. I do think it's terrible, but I think also psychologically, because I'm a therapist, I think about the psychology behind this, and to me it's just really terrible. The second thing that I think does not deserve to be on the internet is irresponsible handling videos. And this is such a double standard for tarantulas or other creatures like tarantulas, because we know how passionate people get when there's any sort of mishandling of dogs. You know, it doesn't have to necessarily be abuse, but you know, if somebody's handling their dog or their cat a little rough, we know that YouTube lights up, and there's a lot of talk about getting videos removed from the internet, or having the owners be looked into or something like that. But for tarantulas, there's not really much like that. So irresponsible handling videos, for example, things like when a tarantula owner is carelessly handling a tarantula above a height that they should be handling at. And of course, the worst offenders, which is people who put tarantulas on their faces. And then there's the ones that are like for shock value or for comedic purposes. So let me get into all of those. So the first one is like the height issue or the bad handling. Handling tarantulas from any major height is actually very, very dangerous. If you didn't know, tarantulas are very fragile. So if you drop a tarantula, or if it bolts and it falls down, if you are at any sort of height really, and you're above a hard surface, your tarantula could rupture its abdomen and die, or be very, very injured. A lot of accidents happen this way because tarantula owners don't know better. So if you are handling your tarantula, first of all, you must know the proper technique, and you must also prepare your environment to be full of very soft surfaces, and you should be near the floor. You know, my fear is that with these handling videos that are holding tarantulas really carelessly or from a tall height, is that it does not give the proper education to new tarantula owners who perhaps don't know how fragile tarantulas are. So I think these videos should be canceled because they encourage bad techniques. The next one is having a tarantula on your face. These videos should also not be allowed. For the same reason that it encourages new tarantula owners to do bad handling stuff. But it's also really, really dangerous for the person doing it. If you happen to get bitten, or if you got haired in your mouth, nose, or eyes, like, you're probably gonna have to go to the hospital. It's not gonna be good for you. Do not make videos like this. These videos shouldn't be on the internet because they're so dangerous. I do not want new tarantula owners to be encouraged that this is an okay thing to do. It's not safe for you. It is not safe for the spider. Just to drive my point home, if you go into most tarantula Facebook groups, you will notice that in the group rules, my group included, that they will have a ban on those kinds of photos or other irresponsible handling techniques. And there's a reason for that. It's because it's dangerous. And a lot of times, handling videos or photos like this become a place for people to share how daring or brave they are. And I think that is not a positive thing. I am absolutely against that. You do not use an animal for clout, or you do not use an animal to flex on how brave you are, especially in such an irresponsible manner. So I'm against that. I don't think these videos or photos have any purpose other than to encourage bad behavior. The last category I think is like the comedy/shock value. They're a little bit different than prank videos, but I think as far as like the carelessness, I think they're almost as bad. There have been several appearances on comedy shows or talk shows where tarantulas will be put in really seemingly dangerous positions. And this is purely to like thrill the audience and get views. There have also been a lot of like Dare style reality TV shows that were, I don't see them so much anymore, but they were really popular a few years ago, that would either have tarantulas or bugs put in these really dangerous situations with people who were scared of them. So I'm really against using tarantulas or other animals in competitions for shock value. I think that this not only perpetuates the false belief that these creatures are dangerous because it's painted in such a negative way and such a shocking way. You know, I think that if dogs or cats were being handled as recklessly as tarantulas are in either these competition TV shows or on these comedy shows, it would be a totally different story. I don't think that would be allowed. And I was actually really happy to see Tarantula Cat talking about this. She had made a video, I forget, I think it was somewhat recently because it popped up in my suggestions or something like that, but she talked about a clip where Jimmy Fallon had tarantulas placed on his head and on his shoulders and on his body as part of his show, and it's really irresponsible handling, and it could have been really bad for both tarantulas and Jimmy Fallon. So she really talks about why that's problematic, so you should definitely watch her video. I'm also going to link to it in the description below. It's a great video. She also talks about some other instances where tarantulas have been used in music videos and things like that. So it's an interesting perspective. So anyway, those are the other videos that I think are problematic that probably shouldn't be on the web, but they are. Let me know what you think of those, or if you think I've missed any problematic tarantula videos that should probably not be on the internet or banned. Let me know what you think. Thank you so much for watching, and if you are interested in getting more tuned into my tarantula work, please feel free to subscribe to my weekly newsletter released on Tarantula Tuesday. Link is in the description, and I also have a tarantula guide out, which you can also get in the description as part of all those links. So let me know what you think, guys. I really appreciate you spending time with me today. I will catch you next week for Tarantula Tuesday. Bye-bye.